fantastic for the department. No, it was interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll reach out to Mr. Stingbridge.
He was supposed to be logging on, I'm not sure.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fine. We'll call to order the City of Douglasville City Council regular meeting for tonight, which is October the 5th, 2020. Our invocation will be done by Reverend Andrew Dickinson of the First Presbyterian Church of Douglasville, and then our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by the Mayor Pro Tem. Please stand for the invocation.
As you are able, please join me in a word of prayer. Gracious God, we thank you for the gift of this day, for health and strength to apply ourselves to constructive, productive work, and for the beauty of this fall season. We pray for this evening's proceedings. We thank you for Mayor Robinson and for our city councillors who serve with her. We thank you for their willingness to serve, for their dedication and their labours on behalf of the community of the city of Douglasville. We pray that you would be with them and guide them in the work that they do for our city. We remember the different departments that serve our community, the Community Development Department, Court Services, Parks and Recreation, Police and Public Services, and all who work within the city limits in fields such as education and healthcare. We remember our business community and our faith-based communities, the rich diversity of individuals and groups that together make up our city. Help us to recognize and value the role we all play in making Douglasville a great place to live, learn, and work. We recognize that because we have competing concerns and priorities, there may be times when we disagree, perhaps strongly. In such situations, we ask that you would help us to be patient and to bear with one another, for we are all your image bearers with intrinsic value as persons, even if at times our opinions differ. Finally, we ask that you renew us with your presence, empower us with your goodness, and may we know the joy of helping to build a community worthy of the human person. We ask this in your holy name, confident in your goodness and love. Amen.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, for leading us in the pledge, and Pastor Dickinson, we really appreciate you coming in and doing the invocation and prayer. Please tell your beautiful family I said hello, and your daughter Abby especially, with your wife and family. Thank you so much. We'll move on to announcements and presentations. We do not have any presentations this evening, so I will go over the protocol for the meeting, and then we will get into the agenda as it is printed and presented on the screen. I'd like to welcome you to the City of Douglasville City Council regular meeting. I'm Douglasville's Mayor, Rochelle Robinson. Today's meeting is being conducted in whole or in part by teleconference. All of our elected officials and individuals with agenda items are present, and those wishing to comment during a public hearing or comments from citizens and delegates will be allowed to do so via audio on Zoom software. We do have two council members who are scheduled to be joining us teleconference, And once I say your name, if you would say that you're here or present, we'll know that you are on the call. Councilmember Chris Watts, are you on the call, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. I hope you can hear me, Coach Watts. I know you said that it was difficult to hear during committee meetings. I don't know if we've gotten that adjusted or not.
Yes, ma'am. I hear you.
Oh, great, great. Councilmember Samuel Davis, are you on the call?
Yes, ma'am. I hear you.
Good to hear you, Councilman Davis. Welcome to the meeting. So we'll move on after having heard that those two members are present with us during Zoom or teleconference, then we'll go on with our Zoom software and the rest of our meeting that we're in live. This is an open meeting of the Douglasville Mayor and Council. It's being conducted by teleconference consistent with the official code of Georgia, annotated section 50-14(1)G, due to emergency conditions involving public safety in order to mitigate the transmission of coronavirus and reduce the risk of COVID-19 illness. That section, which you can find posted with agenda materials for this meeting, allows local governments to meet by teleconference in the event of an emergency, so long as means are afforded for the public to have simultaneous access to teleconference meeting. For this meeting, we are convening partially by Zoom software as shown on the city's website, describing how the public may join, which is via YouTube media platform. Any applicants or participants be advised that this meeting will allow public comments as well, even if the persons that are making comments do not provide their names. Be advised that they may be listening and they do not have to give their names or make a public comment, that listeners are not required to identify themselves. Just know that this meeting is being recorded. This is a regular scheduled meeting where agenda items are presented for discussion and official action will be taken on those items discussed tonight. If the business any citizen wishes to speak on is not listed as an agenda item, there will be ample time under the item comments from Citizens and Delegates section for you to discuss any other matters related to pending or potential city business. Now, just a few more protocol issues and then we'll get into our agenda. I ask that you would please keep your comments and presentations on a professional level, dealing with the facts that are important for this governing body to make our decisions. We will not accept comments from anyone that is deemed to be disrespectful or that it would be an attack on any individual or group of individuals. You'll receive a warning from the chair, and if you deviate from that warning, a second deviation will ask that we will discontinue your opportunity to speak. Only one person speaking at a time. Please do not disrupt or applaud or talk to anyone in the audience, but direct all of your comments to the chair. Now we'll move on how the items will take place and how the meeting will flow. The agenda items will be handled as the following. The committee chairperson will read the agenda item. After that, the committee chair will ask for comments or statements from the audience. There is a maximum for zoning matters. There's a maximum of 20 minutes in favor and 20 minutes for those in opposition to take sides, and each person has 5 minutes to speak. Unless there's a larger group of individuals, you can split up your time, but in totality, each side has 20 minutes. Myself and council members will possibly ask clarifying questions that we did not ask on last Thursday, or if we have some additional questions we might ask. Then the committee chairperson will make a motion. I'll call for a second. We'll have a vote, and it will come up on the iCompass. We'll punch in the votes, and then we'll have an answer for if it's passed or not. This meeting is not question and answer format. We ask that you would just address your comments to the chair, and we'll take those into consideration to make our decision. If you have any information that is printed, we ask that you would please give it to the city clerk, Ms. Vicki Acker, and she will pass it on to us. So that's a whole lot of talking, but that's the protocol for the meeting. Now we'll move on with the agenda as presented. I open the floor for minutes to approve the minutes of the legislative work session of September the 17th, 2020, and the regular meeting of September 21st, 2020. So open the floor for a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been properly moved in second. It's been the motion to approve is from Councilmember Estes and second from Councilmember Adams. Do we see any additions, corrections, comments about the minutes from council members? Thank you. Not seeing any. All those in favor of approving the minutes as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much. I heard from the two council members that are joining us remotely. So it's unanimously approved for the minutes, and we'll move on to the consent agenda. So I'll open the floor to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Make a motion to approve.
Thank you so much, Councilman Adams. We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you so much, Mayor Pro Tem. Did you get it, Ms. Acker? Yes. Okay, it's been properly moved and second to approve the consent agenda as presented. Do we have any questions or comments or any further discussion as it relates to the consent agenda? Thank you. Not seeing any. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Aye.
Councilman Watts, Councilman Davis, did you push the button or say aye? I see your name. Yes, sir. You press yes.
I pressed the button and said aye.
Okay, all right, so it's been unanimously approved that we adopt the consent agenda as presented. So we'll move on now to the next item, which is item number 7, Economic Development Committee. That's chaired by Mayor Pro Tem Councilmember Terry Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business at this time under the Economic Development Committee.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on then, get this off my screen, to Finance Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Mark Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Finance has no business tonight.
Thank you, sir. We'll move on to Housing and Community Affairs Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Dr. LaShawn Burdanley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business, housing, and community tonight.
Thank you so much,
You're
ma'am.
welcome.
Legislative and Intergovernmental Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Samuel Davis.
No business at this time, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, sir. We'll move on then to item number 11, which is Personnel Organization Committee, and that's chaired by Councilmember Chris Watts.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business tonight in personnel and organization.
Thank you so much, sir. Move on to item number 12, which is Planning and Development Committee, and that's chaired by Councilmember Mark Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have
Welcome.
several items tonight under Planning and Development. We'll start with item A, authorize the mayor to sign a development agreement with SL Douglas Place 2 LLC requiring an exchange of property, including the city's disposition of portions of Wood Road. Ms. Littlefield, do you have any additional comments concerning this item since Thursday night?
No, I don't.
Okay, are there anyone that had any comments, Madam Mayor or Council, additional comments concerning this item? Okay, is there any, I see that Mr. Ray is here. Mr. Ray, do you have any any information you want to provide? No comment, okay. Seeing none, then I make a motion to approve item 20-482.
Thank you so much. I have a motion by the chair to approve item A. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Estes. Properly moved and second to approve item 20-461. Do we have any further discussion as relates to this item from council members?
Point of order, Madam Mayor, did you give a different item number than I did?
It has 40-482.
482, you said 461.
I apologize. I was
and
looking.
And
I
it's
know I'm doing
it's
too much.
20, not 40.
I'm ready to be there. Thank you.
Oh, my dyslexia. 20-482.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for the correction. We definitely do not want to pass the wrong item. So do we have any further discussion as it relates to this item from council members? Thank you. Not seeing any. All those in favor of approving item 20-482, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes.
Aye.
Did you all do it in unison? Okay, so opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Looking at the screen there that everyone voted. So it's been unanimously approved, 20-482.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We'll
You're
go on to
welcome.
item B, consider a request for approval of a development plan for Silverman Phase 4 for 33 acres at Gurley Road and Wood Road in land lot 162, District 1, Section 5, Parcel 1, for plans dated August 20th, 2020, application by Hughes Ray Company Incorporated. Ms. Williams?
Patrice Williams, Community Development Director, 6701 Church Street. We have nothing new to add at this time. As I said, the proposal does meet the requirements of the UDO. We do have the applicant with us tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Questions of council? Council or Madam Mayor may have questions of Ms. Williams or of the applicant. public comment or question concerning this item? Seeing none, then I will make a motion that we approve item 20-461.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you so much, Councilman Estes. It's been properly moved in second to approve item 20-461. Is there any further discussion from council members as it relates to this item? Thank you. I don't see any. We're ready to cast the vote. All those in favor of approving item 20-461, please say aye.
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 Okay. Any other discussion? If not, then all the ayes, I apologize. I was looking at the thing. It's not coming up. Nay. Okay. There it is. Okay, so we have one nay, and majority rules, and it's been approved. Item 20-461 is approved.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We'll move on to item C. Remove without cause Mr. Martin Raxton as the Ward 1 member of the Douglasville Planning Commission and appoint an individual to that position for a term expiring June 1, 2021. Ms. Jackson and Ms. Littlefield on this item. Go ahead, Ms. Jackson.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Chelsea Jackson, 6695 Church Street. You all, before you all have two individuals, Mr. Virgie Gordy and Mr. Nathan Zachary, that would wish to be appointed to Ward 1. You have a ballot for Ward 1 as well as a ballot for Ward 4. Once you all complete the ballot, I will come forth and then I will read out the votes. The votes are as following. Mayor Robinson, Councilman Estes, and Councilman Watts voted for Mr. Virgie Gordy, and Mayor Pro Tem Miller, Councilwoman Miller, Councilman Davis, Councilwoman Danley, and Councilman Adams all voted for Mr. Nathan Zachary. That is 3 votes for Mr. Virgie Gordy and 5 votes for Mr. Nathan Zachary.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. I then would make a motion that we appoint Mr. Melvin Zachary.
Nathan Zachary.
Melvin is his cousin. My mistake from last Thursday. I am so sorry.
I know.
Make a motion that we appoint Mr. Nathan Zachary to Ward 1 of Douglasville Planning Commission.
Thank you so much. I have a motion to appoint Mr. Nathan Zachary to Ward 1 for the Planning Commission to serve through the term of June 1st, 2021. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you so much. It's been properly moved in second to appoint Mr. Zachary to this post. Do we have any additional comments or questions as it relates to this item from council members? If not, since the majority rules, Mr. Zachary is appointed. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Doesn't matter. Thank you. Mr. Zachary is appointed.
Item D. Appoint an individual to serve as a Ward 4 member of the Douglasville Planning Commission for a term expiring June 1, 2024. Ms. Jackson?
Yes, sir. Chelsea Jackson, 6695 Church Street. If you all remember, there were originally 3 individuals that wanted to be potentially appointed to Ward 4. Miss Emily Dixon has since withdrew her name. She's actually looking for a house, and the house she made an offer on is in the county.
Yeah.
But she does want to still be involved. So you do have 2 individuals. You have a ballot before you, and once you are done with that ballot, I will stop by, pick them up, and read the votes aloud. The votes are as follows. Mayor Pro Tem, Councilman Davis, Councilwoman Danley, Councilman Adams, and Councilman Watts voting for Mr. Francisco Artley. Mayor Robinson, Councilwoman Miller, and Councilman Estes voting for Mr. Raxton. So there are 3 votes for Mr. Martin Raxton and 5 votes for Mr. Francisco Artley. I have a mistake. Councilman Estes voted for Mr. Francisco Artley. So 6 votes for Mr. Francisco Artley and 2 for Mr. Martin Raxton. My apologies.
Ms. Jackson, so repeat that, because you just said the reverse of that the first time you gave those names.
Yes.
So it's 6-2.
For Mr. Francisco Artley. 6 votes for Mr. Francisco
6-2.
Artley.
All right. Thank you very much. Seeing those results then, I will make a motion that we appoint Mr. Francisco Artley to serve as the Ward 4 member of the Douglasville Planning Commission.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. We have a motion to approve Mr. Artley to the commission. I don't know if we need to take a vote. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Councilman Estes, do we have any comments or questions as it relates to this item? I will make one comment that Mr. Artley is also running for the school board for Douglas County, and so he and Mr. Caldwell are in the same district running for that position. So we did have a request in 2016 for an elected official on the school board actually to serve on the planning commission, and we were told that you can't be elected and appointed at the same time. And so if Mr. Artley were to win this race, then he has to make a decision if he wants to serve on the school board or if he's going to acquiesce and have to give up his seat on the planning commission. So based in November, we'll be faced with that concern, and I guess we'll decide at that time if he'll decide what he wants to do. But I'm just bringing that to the table, that if he's elected, then we have to possibly have another vote in another month or so for the planning commission. Any other comments? Not seeing any. All those in favor of approving this item with Mr. Francisco Artley to serve June 1st to 2024, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Thank you. The ayes have it. Mr. Francisco Artley is appointed to this position on the planning commission.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's all that we have tonight.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on to Public Improvement and Beautification Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Nicole Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business this evening.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll move on to item 14, Public Relations Committee, and that's chaired by Councilmember Howard Estes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We also have no business this evening.
Thank you, sir. We'll move on then to item 15, which is Public Safety Committee, and that's chaired by Councilmember Samuel Davis.
Yes, ma'am. Hold a public hearing to consider a request for an alcoholic beverage license for the on-premises sale and consumption of wine and malt beverages at the following establishment: Legacy EAT LLC, DBA Divine Calf and Market, location 12375 Veteran Memorial Highway. Proposed agent outlet manager Karen Howard. Required fees have been paid into the finance department. I would like to make a motion that we approve item 20-435.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you so much, Councilman Estes. Has been properly moved and second to approve item 20-435. Do we have any additional comments or questions or any further discussion as it relates to this item from council members?
Madam Mayor, just curious, did we not have to give
A public hearing?
opportunity for someone to speak on behalf of or against this item prior to a vote?
The public hearing?
Okay, so it's not, we don't have to have any other input. Okay, I stand. I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Yes, sir. It does read, hold a public hearing, so I understand why you would have that question. Any other comments as it relates to this item? Not seeing any. All those in favor of approving item 20-435, please say aye.
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 Opposed, nay.
Aye.
Thank you. Aye. The ayes have it, so the Vine is granted their hearing alcohol beverage license for consumption of wine and malt beverages at the establishment on Veterans Memorial Highway. It's been unanimously approved. Is that all you have, Mr. Chairman?
That's all I have.
Thank you so much. We'll
That's
move
all
on.
I have, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll move on to item 16, Recreation, Culture, and Tourism Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Chris Watts.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business tonight. Recreation, culture, and tourism.
Thank you so much, Councilman Watts. We'll move on then to Technology Committee. That's chaired by Mayor Pro Tem Terry Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business under the Technology Committee at this time.
Thank you, sir. We'll move on to Transportation Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Dr. LaShawn Burdanley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No business tonight under the transportation.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Do we have any other business to come before council tonight from council members? Thank you. I don't see anyone that wants to raise any issues, so we'll move on then to updates from city staff. Do we have anything from our city attorney, Mr. Joel Dotson?
Business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dotson. Our chief assistant city attorney, Ms. Susan Littlefield.
No business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Our chief of police, that's our deputy chief, Sue Ann Shaw. It's good to see you, chief.
Good to see you too.
Do you
No
have anything
business,
from the
Madam
police department?
Mayor. No business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Our city manager, Ms. Marcia Hampton.
Business, Madam Mayor.
What? Okay, I know. We do have a staff report, and it is under our presentation for public services, our quarterly report from Mr. Roberts and Ms. Melissa Dickinson. And if you all would mind coming forward and do your presentation. And so, Mr. Roberts, this is cleanup week, isn't it? Yes, it is. Okay. If you can, we all know you, but if you give us your name and address and then do your quarterly presentation. Somebody was looking at me. I can feel it. They were like, we thought we were going to be out of here by 6:30. But anyway. Mr. Roberts.
Greg Roberts, Director of the Public Services Department. And our address is 8145?
Yeah, it's new, huh?
8475. Yeah. The first one I gave you was Cedar Mountain. 8475 Courthouse Square West.
Yes, sir.
On the corner of Church Street in front of the old First Baptist Church. Yeah, I keep getting those two addresses mixed up. And so we're set to go. Does everyone have it pulled, the presentation pulled up?
Yes, sir.
And now some of this information, the first couple of pages, is basically identical to the presentation that we had given to you back in April.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, we didn't actually make a presentation. We just uploaded it. And so I'm not sure that we had a lot of feedback at that time. We moved into the Courthouse Square West facility in May, early middle of May. So we weren't in there at the last presentation. At that time, we had moved into Cedar Mountain facility, but we didn't have all operations operating there. We do now since that time, and so all of our maintenance, street maintenance employees are reporting from there. Our sanitation crews and our fleet department is operating there. And our facilities employees, Happy Howard and his team, they work out of the Courthouse Square West facility downstairs in the old Station 10 section of the building. Other than some just routine follow-ups with the contractor, Ray Lynn at Cedar Mountain, all the construction is finished, and so we're in that first year of the warranty period, and some of that will be ending early 2021. But if you have any questions about that, you can let me know now or later. Courthouse Square, as you know, it took a while to get it painted. We finally wrapped that up about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and lots of reasons for that. The COVID-19 delayed us on the materials for the paint, so we had a few delays on that, but the facility is working out really nice for us. You also see that we've performed some improvements at the Human Services Building that we have contracted to the state of Georgia, where DFACS and 2 other state agencies operate out of. We spent a little over $100,000 on carpet replacement and painting, and just some upgrades in that building that were needed. And hopefully over the next 12 to 18 months, we can do a few more things. Not quite that much money, but we have a few more things on the exterior to complete over there. The Wellness Center, it will never be referred to as the Hair Barn again. It looks nothing like the old Hair Barn, and we believe that facility turned out real nice. Now, we did use some subcontractors, but our in-house facility crew did a lot of the work on the interior. Happy Howard and Bill Grizzard and Rod Banks did a great job in there, and we spent right at $64,000 on that work. We have the City Hall Lactation Lounge. That cost us a little over $4,500, and so you're welcome to go see that at some point. And then the Hawthorne Center, we've made the improvements in the entry area and then the kitchen, and some of you may not have went to see that, but it looks really good. And Happy Howard, along with Travis, but Happy Howard basically managed that project with the contractors doing that work, so it turned out real well. We've performed about 4 demolition projects that we spent a total of just under $59,935 on demolition projects on the old daycare center on Brown Street, and also the Cowens property next door, Chicago Avenue just north of the intersection at West Church or West Strickland, and also one house on Thompson Street and one house on Carton Street. And Ms. Patrice and I are working on a couple of others that will run its course over a period of time, but hopefully we can either encourage property owners or we can help them. Moving to streets and street department, you see I show it as page 12, I think you do. It shows some equipment there. We have steadily, thanks to the council and Ms. Hampton and Ms. Callan working with us in the budget process. Some of this equipment you see here is brand new.
It's pretty looking.
The dump trucks you see, this is just a testament of how great a couple of our fleet folks are. Chris Johnson has basically stripped those old 1998 and 99 dump trucks down and redid them. They literally look brand new.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got a third one in the shop it may roll out this week, but I'm adamant about repairing equipment and keeping it running, especially as much as it costs now. To replace those trucks would probably cost us $125,000. For a fraction of that, we were able to redo them. The Splosh project at Fairburn Road, now we've added it to our list because we'll be taking over the maintenance at some point, but Marcus Thompson and Ms. Hampton and a number of people can take a lot of credit, not the least of which is the mayor and council. I assume everybody has seen it, but if anybody has missed it, you really just need to get on I-20 at Chapel Hill Road and just do a slow exit. They're almost finished, but it really looks good. And so that now is our new front yard, and it looks awesome. But going forward, as Ms. Hampton and I talk regular, it won't be cheap to keep it that way. So it's not something we want to see like some cities have done. They spend a fortune doing it, and then it turns into a weed field in 5 years. That cannot be what we let happen. Just a quick update on the 92 project, and Ms. Hampton and I will be meeting with GDOT later this week on our monthly meeting. And if you have any suggestions, you do not necessarily have to provide them now, but text them, email them to us, let us know what questions you might have so that we can address that during the meeting later this week. But a couple of things of interest. So the underpass should be, we'll be driving on that in June of next year, hopefully sooner, but I'm telling you June, so we're not looking for May. But the plan is to be driving under that underpass by June of next year in the early summer. One key note that Ms. Hampton and I will be talking with GDOT about later this week, and then we can update you over the next few weeks. So a lot is fixing to start happening. It's about to go fast. So the bowling ball is about to hit the pins, and that's really a good analogy probably because people complain once it starts affecting them. So what you're going to see happen, they wanted to do it about the third week of November. I had asked them, no, let's don't do it at Thanksgiving. So they're going to shoot for the week after Thanksgiving. So in your mind's eye, coming northbound on Fairburn Road at the Chick-fil-A, as you pass the intersection at Gurley Lane, we're going to switch to the new road early December. And so you see a lot of activity down there right now. Every now and then the power blinks. So there's a lot of activity happening right there right now. And so early December, the road shifts over there. Then the work starts on that section of Fairburn Road between Hospital Drive and the Chick-fil-A, that section that's going to be sort of scaled out of the 92 project. So just giving you a heads up that in about 2 months, less than 2 months, we'll be switching over. The traffic northbound will then be carried to that current intersection where the detour is at Highway 78 and the underpass. Because, you know, if you look at it from the south side, that detour on the west side of that underpass, that's just temporary. That goes away. But the other side where Fulgham used to be, that side that's finished out with a concrete curb and median, that stays. They're going to install a traffic signal over the next 6 weeks to be ready when that traffic turns northbound. And that'll be a new major intersection, even though it's in a temporary setup until the underpass gets open. So trucks coming northbound, they can now be forced up there and totally miss our lovely crossing where they love to come and drive to sometimes. So I'm just giving you a heads up on that. There is a little delay on opening the West Strickland Street Bridge because of some utilities related to the railroad. And so that would have been completed about now, but it's got about a 90 day or 120-day delay on it. So hopefully that gets completed and we can get East Strickland. I might have said West, but I meant East Strickland. Get that tied back in over that new bridge, and over the next several weeks, next 5-6 months, we'll have to pick back up with you all on East Strickland and how we handle traffic at Huey Road and that area. That's pretty much my update. I will tell you that GDOT has a contractor, and to my amazement, Ms. Hampton, after we talked earlier, their contractor's doing a great job cleaning up the medians that I've been worried about, because we will take over the maintenance of those vegetated medians and shoulders up through there. And so it had gotten way out of hand. I did complain about it on your behalf, and they have heard me, and I was amazed at the work that they have completed just through today. And so they are working steady on it over there, in this good weather. If you have any questions about the 92 project, you can ask it now, or you can text me or email me later, or Ms. Hampton, and we can certainly, yes, ma'am.
Just a quick question, okay, if I ask one? Just a quick question, Madam Mayor was talking today about a light that, I think there was a resident that was concerned about leaving Colquitt. Her concern was there wasn't a turning light, but there's not a lot of traffic like there's leaving Colquitt.
Gotcha.
But the light, needing a light, and I don't mean
Turning.
but down Malone Street, turning left onto Davis Drive, it's just like that little cut that goes to Lakeland.
Okay, that new section of the road, yes.
That is where there have been complaints, because it's really dark there, at night.
Now, coming out of that new section onto the new 92,
Well, if you go down, like, past Stewart Middle School, right before you get to the light, the left turn into Lakeland.
gotcha.
Right there.
Okay,
And you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
I'll take a picture just to, but I think that's the concern that I've had, not coming from Colquitt.
Okay. And moving to street resurfacing, now, there's been a little delay on getting the LMIG 2020 project out to contract. We were working on that when COVID-19 struck us down, and I will have to take the blame for that not being out to bid yet. And so Miss Callan and I are working on it, and I've got to get back with Miss Littlefield to get that project done. But there's 16 streets on there, and so I can probably have an update on that in a couple of weeks. There is a list, and I do plan to be back to council in 2 weeks if Ms. Hampton lets me, because I know I'm talking a lot. But the next 3 pages there is a list of the 4s and 5 streets, and some of those have been updated. And there's more than 90 streets on the list, or 91, I believe. And the ones that I highlighted in yellow are the ones that are at least a 4 or a combination of a 4 and a 5. So if any of you have suggestions on streets that you've either received comment from your constituents or that you have seen yourself, please get that to me at your earliest convenience. Otherwise, I will work on the list that I present to you. It'll be a combination of a lot of these streets highlighted in yellow that would kind of match the amount of money that we have available. And so I'll try to give you 2 or 3 different ways to look at that, if that makes sense. And but if you have streets that you want considered, we can certainly do that as well.
Mr.
Yes, sir.
Roberts, did you mean now, or did you mean at a later
It
time?
doesn't have to be tonight. No, and that's the reason I added this to this presentation, so that you'd have time to look at it, and you could get back to me over the next few days. We have enough time. We have time. So even if we have to come back that first round in November, we're good on time as far as that goes. But there's a lot of streets on here that I have highlighted that are based off of that original list that came to us through Steve Tiedemann, as you recall. And roads like Selman Avenue have a lot of traffic. I would just about tell you we almost have to include that one. A lot of the rating goes into how much traffic is on it, and so some of these streets have a good bit of traffic on them. So if you've got any questions now or comments.
Quick question. You have the Landing Drive. It's not a yellow street, but what section is that referring to? You just
That's
said
at Arbor
parking
Place Mall.
Right. You say parking lot. Which parking lot are you referring to?
What number is that one?
70.
Number 7?
70.
70.
Arbor Place Boulevard, parking lot number 70.
Isn't that the upper part of the development where you had Toys R Us and the Aqua Tot swimming area?
The parking lot means it ends at the parking lot.
Which parking lot?
That's the
name?
street that's sort of behind the, where the new Chipotle is.
Mm-hmm.
Chipotle, the street that goes
Okay.
behind it and
It's
back
the one
around
that
to the parking
One that
lot.
runs parallel to Chapel Hill.
That's right.
Okay.
Well,
got
for a
it.
section, yes.
Okay.
Those streets belong to the city.
Be able to come back to you all to discuss your recommendations on the 19th, Monday the 19th at 5.
I'll text you, Mr. Gregg. I have
Yes,
a couple
ma'am.
streets.
And if any of you, I think most of you know, I'll come pick you up and we'll go ride. We'll go look at your street. whatever your, if you've got a constituent, we'll go look at it.
Mm-hmm.
We can look at it with the constituent. So the next 2 or 3 pages after that, that's our residential sanitation updates, and you can see those numbers there. And that's just totals of where we're at this time of year on those couple of pages. If you have any questions on any of it, like I say, yes, ma'am.
Recycling update.
So
I'm like I'm in church. It's going to resume on.
I know, and we hope to do it after the first of the year. So without telling you a date, I was a little presumptuous on the date before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we're doing all we can. I tell you, I'm just telling you straight up, I'm working out of 2 facilities because of COVID-19. I wasn't doing that before, but I usually start my day every day about 6 or 6:30 just to be there for my guys at Cedar, to make sure we're socially distancing, that we're getting out to work. It's a big deal.
Yes, sir.
And so I'm usually at Courthouse Square by 8:30, 9 o'clock. And making sure that our employees, and we have right now about 50 employees, making sure that everybody's working safe. And they do, and they care, but sometimes it takes a
And
little
I know
encouragement.
recycling, you actually are touching the materials, so it's
A little more so.
Yes,
But
sir.
what happens is, and we're a little bit shorthanded right now. Some of it was a part of the COVID-19 because at any given time we were without 6 or 8 employees. That's a lot because we do not, contrary to a lot of people in the public, this local government in my department, and I don't
Have a
know of
shutdown.
any citywide, I don't have employees waiting on something to fall out of the sky for them to do. We have a person for a job, and so if 4 or 5 people are out related to that, there's no 4 or 5 people waiting to fill that gap. It means 4 or 5 people have to do extra work. And so recycling is one of those things, unfortunately, that we already were dealing with, that some of you knew about before we ever heard of COVID-19. We knew we had some complications that we were already going to have to deal with. A lot of cities have cut it out. I don't want to paint us like a dinosaur, but I don't think a lot of people understand that a lot of cities have just said, hey, we're not doing it. Because you're having to pay to get rid of it at a rate more than twice solid waste. And the only reason that I would even recommend to you to even go back to it is because recycling waste, the weight of it is just so different. I mean, solid waste probably weighs 7 to 1 to recycling waste. So this is recycled waste, and it doesn't have any weight to it that much. So they have, because it's the one component when your manpower gets short, that you can, and that's not the reason I did it necessarily. It's just, I know you don't want to give up the yard waste. That would be a disaster. Councilmember Adams and I talked about that. Giving up the yard waste would almost be a disaster as compared to recycling waste, because quite honestly, it's not a perishable waste. And so hopefully this week being cleanup week, a lot of residents have figured out a way to get it to the street and we get rid of it. I hate it. Look, you just do not know how aggressive of a recycler that I am. I'm not quite as aggressive as Chan Weeks. She fusses at even me. But my wife would tell you it's ridiculous. And it's at how difficult I am to deal with on recycling, because I'm an aggressive recycler. And I've never thrown away so much at my house. And it kills me. But hopefully after the first of the year, maybe February, maybe.
It really the manpower issue, and I know that you all are getting hammered by the citizens, but the reality of it is we don't have the people to do the service. We don't. I mean, it's just, I wish we did.
And one day a week we do. And then, maybe for 2 weeks we do. But that 1 week when it's like, God, like Thursday I had 7 people out. It's a lot of people. I'm not whining to you. It's a reality that I deal with. And so this will be behind us. This too will pass. And it's all good. But I feel like we've been responding to our citizens when they contact us directly.
Yes, sir.
If they get to me, we get it taken care of. That's pretty much all I have to say. The Keep Douglasville Beautiful items pretty much speak for themselves. One comment I will make, or point I will make, is that you take, for example, this week is cleanup week. That's not just our sanitation crews, it's our maintenance employees. Our maintenance employees, the street maintenance, and they're a small group. They're no more than 10 people. But without those guys, they are our sanitation support. So right now, they're probably wrapping up today's cleanup day, and half of those people out there getting it up is maintenance department employees. Those employees do all the grass cutting, all the pothole patching, all the sidewalk replacement, traffic signal maintenance to the extent that we do traffic signal maintenance. Corey Jackson grew up on traffic signal maintenance. He does it a lot on some of those signals that he can repair with no money being expended much. So those same group of people do a lot of things, and I think that gets overlooked a lot of times. Even myself, I probably do not give them the accolades that they deserve, but they're cutting grass one day and pouring concrete tomorrow, and that's the way we operate. If you were to say, how do we fix that, you don't really want to fix that. It would cost us a fortune to have a concrete crew and a mowing crew. Now, as we'll talk in months to come, we're going to talk to you about some other ways over the next 18 months or so that we can address some of the mowing, and we will be talking about that in the next few months. Probably sooner than probably in early 21, we will talk about how we expand some of the contract services we do on mowing and cleanup, and that will lift some of the burden as we move to this new 92 highway and the responsibilities that we will assume with the vegetation maintenance. So
Thank you.
Sorry I talked your ears off, but
That's okay. Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Do we have any questions from the council members? I know we were interjecting as Mr. Roberts was going. Councilman Adams?
I just wanted to say thank you to Greg personally and to the
Yes, sir.
department, because I know they have been extremely stressed in the last 6 months, more so I'm sure than most other departments, in trying to keep the citizens happy with limited staff and COVID shortness as far as sickness, and you've got a lot of things, a lot of irons in the fire. And yes, we do get complaints from our citizens about not going back to recycling. We just have to respond to those in a positive manner and hope we get it back. And if we don't, then we don't. But we're not really in control of that, are we?
I'm confident we will.
Thank you, Greg.
It's gonna
I
take a
appreciate
minute.
it. Appreciate what you do.
Yes,
Thank you, Councilman Adams. Any other comments from council members? The only other thing I would say, Mr. Roberts, is just to echo what Councilman Adams has said. We thank you so much, and I personally thank you. I know when I did an update, I said my kids are saying, "Oh no, Mommy, don't call Mr. Gregg," because I'll say, "Mr. Gregg, can you come in?" So I really appreciate you. You know, I know you do a lot, and especially with that grass cutting, mowing, trying to stay on top of that with beautification and street sweeping. I know some citizens don't realize that we do that as well.
Yes.
You know, the street sweeping. So thank you so much, and personally thank you for always being available and doing my ride-alongs. If I don't call you, you're calling me to see if I want to go to another community and ride along. You're always willing to help.
Absolutely.
And even looking at street signs, trying to, make sure the street signs are nice, and stop signs and stuff. So thank you so much for all of that. I did have a question about I-20 beautification when it comes online. Ms. Patrice gave a really great presentation today to Rotary Club about all the projects, and that was one of the ones that people were very excited about at Douglas County Rotary today. So on I-20 and Fairburn and those interchanges, we have who's going to take care of all that vegetation? Is it going to be like the Freedom Island?
It will be
He
at
died.
Fairburn Road.
Yes, Fairburn.
But the contractor has a 1-year maintenance agreement as a part of the contract that we did with them.
Okay.
Then it's next year, later in the year, when we'll pick it up. And that's what I was referring to a moment ago. We're going to be presenting to you a fairly significant
Oh, wow.
proposition. But it'll be great. We will stand alone. And we have figured out how we can do it. We just need
Oh,
to,
good.
we just need to talk to you about it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Roberts. Any other comments from council members? Thank you. We appreciate the update. Yes, sir. We'll move on then to comments from citizens and delegates. If anyone wants to make any comments, I know we do have at least one citizen or two that stayed. Please come to the microphone. You have 5 minutes. Please give us your name and address for the record, and you can make a comment on any current or pending items in the city of Douglasville.
Hello, Madam Mayor.
Good evening.
Name is Marshall Phipps. Address is 79 Brookside Court. I came to give you 3 updates regarding my project at Hunter Park, and one of which is huge. The first one is that the paperwork with the IRS for 501c3 nonprofit status and tax exemption has finally been filed on October 1st. Thank goodness. So now it's pretty much the waiting game. The second one is that my buddy, Larry Pierce, who's also part of the project, he's still in the hospital due to COVID-19, but he's still talking. I check up on him occasionally just to make sure he's fine. So there's that. And the third thing is that I'll get in touch again with the Railroad Museum, who has connections to the train cars that belongs to the engine in Douglasville. And hopefully soon we'll try to attempt the retrieval of those and send those to Hunter Park and try to get those restored as soon as the finances become available.
You're not going to send the trains to Hunter Park, are you? How you?
Well, the train cars, which belongs to the engine at Hunter Park, we plan on just putting those in the same shed with it for the time being. And once I get the funds to restore them, then those will be back with the original train set. And then after that will be the train tracks, train station, and other necessary facilities to accommodate the locomotive. And just try to make things as streamlined as possible.
Okay, so Mr. Phipps, you'll probably have to talk to the city manager about trying to connect the trains, like Thomas the Train. I don't know if we can take different locations and put them all together. I know you have a robust initiative with bringing the trains back to Hunter Park, but of course we talked about how the city and where we're moving with our park system, and you know the feasibility of having a train there and what it would look like in the future.
Sure.
Not to deter what you're doing, but we need to collaborate and make certain that it lines up with the city. So everything was good until you said bring the trains back. So I'm not sure.
So it's the train cars that belongs to the diesel engine at the park. You know those green ones in that panel I brought in one day?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, those are the ones I'm referring to. Those belong to the one in Douglasville. They're currently still in the mountains, so it's just a matter of bringing those back, since they still technically belong to the city per se.
They do, city manager? Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate the update, and please let Mr. Pierce know that we are praying for his health to return.
Gladly.
We appreciate it.
Thank
yes,
you.
Sir. Any other comments from citizens and delegates? Thank you. Then not seeing any. If we don't have any other business to come before the council tonight, this meeting is adjourned.